Well, we got to make a mini greenhouse for these grapevine cuttings. Take a regular coat hanger, cut it off where it bends, right under the hook. Discard. If you use these machinist pliers, I call them, some people call them electric pliers, but they've got good metal in the cutters. And you can grab something like this really easy and bend it up. Before we do that, I want to show you a little trick. You want to know where the center of this hoop's going to be? Well, just go right across from the middle of where you just cut it. And then you just bend it. Bend both sides equally. Go right about an inch, bend a little more, go right an inch, bend a little more. Come back over here, an inch, an inch. Then you can straighten the lower arms. These pliers make it really easy to do. And then you can just crimp the top to make it round. If you have one that you know how long you want it to be, you can just lay it over it and clip it off to length. And after you get them all cut, you got 10 of these for 5 pots. You take a tie wrap, just put them both side by side, put a tie wrap on there. Take these great old machinist pliers and give it a good tight twist. Then when you want to put it in your pot, you just rotate it 90 degrees and stick it in your pot. The best bag you can use is a bread, not a bread bag, they're too narrow. Now you could use a bread bag on a much smaller pot, but these are larger pots and it needs a bigger opening. And a bread bag you get like 8 rolls in, that type bag is the best you could use. When you pull the bag over your new plant, the bag is loose around the bottom. I'll take my ties. You could use a rubber band. It's a little hard sometimes to stretch a rubber band all over this, but it would work just fine. But after a while it'll dry right in the full position, open and pop off. But you can tie these little nylon hose together even if it takes 2. Most of these are fairly long. So you could take these around the bottom of the pot, and that makes it sort of airtight. If you're really good, you do this before you take your cuttings. I've had these pots sitting in water because I want to make sure they have plenty of water in them. Now before I put the cuttings in here, I will drain all the water. I'll take all these pots out and drain all the water out of that pan. And then you want to take, and I just take a big old dowel, this is a piece of bamboo, and just wallow out a big hole. Because I'm going to put rooting hormone. A lot of people say you don't need to use rooting hormone, but I think it helps. I've done it both ways. It can't hurt. And this way, when you dip that cutting in water and then put it in the rooting hormone and you stick it down in the soil to the right level you want and close the soil up, the rooting horn won't get wiped off on the soil. If you just put it in normal soil like this and drive it down, by the time it gets in there 3-4 inches, there's no rooting horn left down there where the roots need to be. Think about it. I got 5 pots, 5 wire cages or the coat hangers, 5 bags, enough things to tie the bags off at the bottom. And now I would go make my cuttings, because if I made my cuttings and then fool with this for about an hour, they're drying out because they haven't had any moisture for an hour. You could stick them in water for a little while. But why not just take the cutting, trim it up while you walk to the house, dip it in water, dip it in rooting hormone, put it in here. You could close the soil up on it. You could do all 5 of these and then put the little wire frame and the bags on it later. Now where the roots are going to come from is that dormant bud right there. And that bud. Now I'm going to put rooting hormone on the bottom of this and put this in the pot. This one here, the lower flower, is shriveling up a little bit. I only have one little bud down here. Normally that's all you would have on it, 4 of those like that, but you can see it's green in there. And I'm going to take that one off, and I'm going to cut that one on the top. Now I've got a long spread here. I don't know if I can get this one under the soil. Probably not. So my only chance on this is one. It's still green. And I'm going to leave both of these on. No, I'm going to cut that one off. No sense wasting time. Always have the blade next to it. Is the best way to do these. And that one's been cut. This is a... That one's been cut. Here's that one to be cut. This is a crookeder one. Cut that little thing off. These are... That one's a little dry. I don't think it's going to work. This bud right here should work. Dip it in root hormone. Put that in. Let that be above the soil. Let that be above the soil. Cut the top off. That one might come out, but I don't expect it to. But that one should live. You know when I took these cuttings because you saw the video. So these are several days old. I've had them sitting in water. Normally I would have just gone right there. Right now I'd just take them out, dip them in that, stick them in every one of those. It's like a minute.